I will drop the link into the Discord, and we will go from there.
I'm just glad that I logged into the right Zoom account because I have another one for other stuff, and that would have been embarrassing. And that's already happened once during my D&D campaign. I'm like, well, here's my alt, so immediately forget.
Well, I mean, you haven't appeared.
You never saw anything.
You haven't appeared in a viral video as a cat who is supposed to be a lawyer yet, so
right,
that's a good start.
And he was. It really sucks that he gained all of that charm because he's such a garbage person. Or sorry, I shouldn't say things like that. He's not a nice person.
I did do a little research on him, and he does not seem to be a very good person at all. And in fact, a lot of the cases he does. Yeah. So we're in agreement on that.
I am just loving like everyone's like set up in the back. Like I love Lauren's wall decorations, and I love Sharon's bookcase and all of your tchotchkes and gigaws. I love it.
I feel like Lauren, I need you to come do a wall for me.
Yeah. Can do a wall for you. I don't know. So it goes up and over.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm. You can't see my bedroom wall from here, but it's covered floor to ceiling in manga panels. It's pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
Right there. It's
wow.
Not that this needs to be the Lauren's bedroom tour, but
no, that's cool. That's so cool. I love interior design, and I think that's probably why the reason I spend so much time in Minecraft just building things, because like, well, I can't do anything, so here's something I can do.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like that's the joy of games like Sims or Minecraft is like you don't need to have the financial or like available materials or any of that. You can be like, I'm doing what I want to do.
You don't have to work.
Talk about
you can
Sims. Sims will just take me for hours and hours and hours, day after day, and then I emerge like.
There was a point during the time period where Alon was unemployed where Sims 4 went on sale. And he was like, I keep hearing that this is a really good thing for people who just like want something very simple to de-stress to. So I picked it up because it was super cheap. He spent like, I think like 6 or 8 hours almost straight, just like building the most deluxe abode. It was amazing.
I love stuff like that though. You just use a cheat code to make yourself like enormously wealthy, and then you can just build things.
I made a beautiful underground lair for my character. It was great. It had a spiral staircase like down like 4 stories into the ground.
Oh wow.
Oh my gosh.
Great. And then it got deleted.
Oh.
Because it was on my computer.
Oh no.
Yeah. Hi Tree. Yeah. Hi Marion.
Oh, hi. Some of my 2 favorite people. Oh, sorry. Was that too loud?
You peaked your mic a little bit, but you're okay. I don't think I've got the volume high enough to where we can really like blow out people's eardrums, thankfully.
Uh-oh.
No, I mean like
if I laugh, that's going to be a problem.
No, actually it looks like we're good.
Cacophonous laugh. Like if I get really caught off guard, it's just like bah. So, which happens often during the Quid Pro Roll episodes, especially when you guys go like on a pun fest.
I love
pun run. Yeah,
I love our pun runs.
That was really good. Thank you.
I love them so much.
I do too. I love that you guys made your characters in Sims. I guess when you uploaded those videos the other day, I watched the last one with the Sims, and I was like, this is a riot. Like I would just love to watch that all the time.
I mean, there's
just sort of this alternate universe of like, you know, Alita and Solinar and Boat and the gang, and I keep wanting to call Alon. just Alon. I'm having a brain fart.
As someone,
Johannes, thank you.
As someone who's done that at the table in Solinar voice, no shade thrown. Everybody's like, why are we talking to Alon in Solinar voice? That's a little strange. Didn't know that Solinar was aware of Alon. Tree says, glad to see victory over tech. I was cursed in a game last night to find everything hysterical. I think that was hard on the rest of the party.
Those times you can't, like, you start giggling and then you just can't stop.
I can absolutely see, like, you're getting into the role, and so you start giggling, like you kind of force it a little bit, and then you can't cease because the ball just rolls downhill.
That's how they say you can sort of trigger your own endorphins and make yourself feel better, is to fake laughing, and eventually you'll start laughing for real, and that's what triggers the whole positive response in yourself.
I hadn't been aware of that one.
So
I knew that if you did more like looking up and more like forcing yourself to smile, that can sometimes trick your brain into doing endorphin things.
I like to sort of make other people's day. So I find that I will often try to like smile warmly at people, but then I sometimes think that, I don't know, maybe just I have a weird face. Like sometimes I'll smile at somebody and it's just like, what is she doing? So, or maybe just people aren't used to friendliness.
I tried to smile at someone on the street behind a mask early-ish in quarantine. And it's like this nice little old lady that walks around my neighborhood. And I was like, and like tried to like smile, like greet her and like wave. And she was like, oh, honey, what's wrong? And I was like,
I think I do pretty well with my eyes over the mask, just like.
I mean, America's Next Top Model was trying to teach us all how to smize, years ago. So if it's not a skill we picked up then, like that's on us for not realizing.
Tyra Banks can't help us.
I can't do it because my bangs cover my eyebrows, so there's like no expression if you.
Oh, I didn't even think about
that.
I
can't like.
Right, yeah.
Oh, no.
It's like very hard. I just need to have like
those
punk bangs.
You know those ears that the little they sort of go off your brain waves and sort of move around.
Oh yeah.
They should have like an LED screen mask that when you make a smile with your face, it creates an LED version through the mask so that people can see that you're smiling. So
I've seen those at cons. I think they exist.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they do.
At the very least,
anytime I think of something and then I look it up, I find out somebody's already done it. So I'm like, oh, good, good job, brain.
Tree says, I was literally cursed, had to get greater restoration, lol. Marion says, yeah, I've done a laughter yoga workshop and there is real science behind that. Tree says, I'm trying to wave more. I think it is difficult when your face is covered the whole time to show people that like you're trying to be warm and friendly. Like, I guess waving works pretty well.
I do the head nod or the chin point.
Yeah,
so casual acknowledgement.
How's it going? Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Who's in your house? I have Lost Limey here to my left there.
I'm going to try and stay quiet and not pull up the torch so that you don't get echoes.
Well, if you just turn the volume down, it should be fine.
Or go home in the office.
Or that too. I like your company though. See, I just have my volume turned down so I can spy the chat.
Yeah, having chat open is helpful for knowing what people are talking about and bringing chat into the conversation.
What did you say?
I don't know if it's squeaky ball. If he finds it, there is I can steal it.
Oh yeah, that would be bad news. Okay. Or if the cats start fighting.
also a problem. Well, I think
Callie she just wants her space. She doesn't want to play with anybody. She just wants to hang out with her mama, and she wants to. Now one of them's pushing the want button. I taught my animals how to press buttons to express themselves. And right now, the only thing they have down is want.
I mean, that's a pretty common feeling, I think, for most animals.
So
So
occasionally you'll hear like a tiny robotic version of my voice saying want or pets or food. Food was a bad idea.
Oh no.
Goblin gets up and stands on it, and it's just like food at like 5:45 a.m. And I'm just like,
I think that's a great time. It's been about 10 minutes, so I think we've got the folks who are going to filter in right off the nose, and I think that's a great time to open into Hyperbole and a half.
Should have shared this with my people on my own Facebook.
I mean, there's always the video on demand. Catch them up after the fact. And
that's true.
They can
but then
join
how
us.
will they have me in the comments?
Glocken says that I should just not get hyperbolic.
Oh, well, but the book is hyperbole and a half. Like,
right.
The whole point is to be like hyperbolic.
If there isn't hyperbole in this chat, I would literally die.
Oh gosh. How do I go to link? No, I don't want this. I want.
Glucken says it's a fine line. So I think this is the first time we've done a book for book club that is almost as much art as it is like text blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I thought the medium was really interesting because it's not just comics, it's not just narrative memoir type content. It's different than I was expecting.
Yeah, is it just like a compilation of her blog posts that have like art embedded in them, I think?
Yep.
Like I remember reading some of them when they were blog posts a long time ago in a different world. So like some of them were very familiar, and then there were others that I didn't remember at all, and I was like, oh, yay. But I can't deal with the dog art, like so good.
When the book came out, when I had first followed her blog, I think it was just one of those, this was like mid-aughts of the internet. And so everybody had like their own blog spot or their own webpage where they, did online journaling. And a lot of people connected through that medium. And it was very fascinating to sort of make friends with, people in other states. And it was just this great coming together of people of like minds, sharing ideas, learning from one another, sort of being involved in some of the intimate things of their lives, or at least, the projection they wanted to show to the world. I've seen, I've been following people, some of them I've known of for like 14, 15 years. And, I've seen them through like birth of children, acquisition of pets, passing away and mourning other people's pets that I've never even met these people in real life, but you're just so caught in, your heart is sort of with them. I don't know how to explain myself. I'm not being very articulate right now, but basically everybody just sort of loved Ali Broch's writing style and just how she was just over the top, hilarious, on point about so many things that were personal to like many people.
Well, and her art style is really accessible because it's fairly clear that she basically just took, oh my God. Like she basically took MS Paint and did some of the best MS Paint work you could anticipate because it's very, very stylized. And there is something a little unhinged, but so expressive about the way she draws people, especially.
Yeah.
Especially
just the
herself.
subtle nuances. Yeah. The subtle nuances in the facial expressions.
Yeah, she draws herself differently than she draws like all other humans too. She's less human shaped than all of the other humans, I think is very interesting.
Yeah, I think it gave her a very unique like narrative voice. Like it lended, I felt like the comic style and the content and like the tone all worked like so well together. That like weird, intensely personal, like I don't know, like maybe like darkly humorous. It's really hard to pin down, but like it feels like it matches with the tone.
There's
Something about it is like accessible and strange at the same time.
There's a lot of very powerful chaotic energy here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, every time what is it? Simple dog is drawn. It just like I've met that dog. It conveys the energy of that dog so well. Like the dog, there's just like there's nothing going on. It's like a little pea rattling around in there.
The posture and the expression and the poses and like
it's basically every lab I've ever met.
It's so good.
Zeke's a lot like that.
So good.
When we first got him, he would whine and he'll make this like very high pitched E noise, and I'm like, oh my god, I have simple dog. And you can see him like figuring out stuff in his brain, so I can sort of like envision like the little Xbox controller buttons like hovering above his head.
Yeah, just like triangle, square, circle. Like Tree says the dogs were my intro to her blog. Such a delight. I think I'm trying to remember what the first of her blog posts I read was. I want to say for me it was Clean All the Things.
Yeah.
Because that one just got so big that you almost couldn't avoid it. Like if you were in any social media space at all, it was there and it was waiting for you.
Like the meme or the like wider comic narrative?
I mean, the meme itself, but the meme would also then link to the comic narrative.
Yeah. I think the only one I had read was the Comic-Con Depression. It's the only bit of hers that I had read. So I wasn't expecting all of, like, I was expecting maybe more of like the serious. So like that and like the on feeling stuff. And those were like, I was expecting that, but a whole comic on the goose. I was literally like laughing so hard I couldn't like control myself when I read. That was my favorite of the silly ones.
I had completely forgotten about the goose story because I read, after getting into Alley Brush, I read like the entire blog for I think like a year and a half. Totally forgot about that one. Oh my god.
Complete with actual pictures.
Evidence to show that it really did happen. Marian says, yeah, Clean All the Things was definitely all over the place. Before people called it going viral, it went viral. I think that's absolutely true. I think it was before meme culture had really taken off. Like you had a few things that had been memes before that. I think the oldest example of a meme I'm aware of is Kilroy. The little, like the guy who's like poking over and like his nose is hanging down.
From like this, I think, didn't they start that in
the
early days, one of the wars?
I think it was like 70s or 80s that really took off. But
it was 60s or 70s.
Oh, it might have been. It was well before my time, and it was one of those that like I saw it in like 4 or 5 different places and I was like, what is this? But then after that, like I don't recall anything going like viral until like Hamster Dance, which I want to say was like 98, 99. It was somewhere in that area.
Oh my goodness. I think I just traveled back in time to middle school.
I used to read Z Frank a lot, and this was back when he had like just the website, and it just had all these lists and videos on how to dance and stuff like that. And this was just like the way that I sort of entertained my brain, and it was such good like endorphin boosting content. Like it was such a joy to sort of be around at the inception of that, and then to watch them grow and evolve. And now he's doing animal videos, which are freaking brilliant.
Oh, they're hilarious. If you haven't seen them, check them out. MS Dogbert says Kilroy was World War II. Mechanics would put it on the planes. Tree, I said MS Dogbert, but Tree also says, I have shared the depression pieces over and over. Such a validation.
I cried when I first read those. It was just, you felt seen. And then she kind of like disappeared after that and took her time. You know, we're all like, you know, do what you got to do. We're here for you. And then like we heard nothing. And people are like, what happened to Hallie Bros? And then she came out with the book, and then she said it was just, you know, a best of compilation in book form, but she would tweak some things, add some new stories, and everybody just went nuts. And we were just excited to hear from her. And then, kind of our surprise, like last year, she came out with another book that sort of like filled us in on what had happened since then. And then you kind of like piece together like what was going on at the time and the stuff she was going through. And it was the second book's pretty heavy. It's still funny, but you know, we've all grown up, and so is she, and it definitely shows in the next book. So if anybody, I don't want to spoil anything, but if anybody wants to check that out. Yeah, but no, I love this story so much. I really related to sort of the chaotic energy of the child. God of Cake was a favorite one because I also have the same sort of yen for sugar. The feeling powerful when you put on an outfit. When she puts on the one of my plants just fell.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I think, if I recall correctly, I was talking to Tree, and Tree was talking as well about God of Cake being very relatable, because there's like this, when you're a kid, you can just like hyper focus on this one thing to the point where you become an unstoppable force of the one thing that you're after. And I was a significantly different child because I wasn't really a hyper child at all. And on top of that, I had a tendency to just like drift my way through life. So like I would go hang out on the porch and watch traffic pass for hours on end. And that would be fun for me. Like that's the kind of kid I was, which I think speaks to why I can sit in the car for 2 hours each way, like 2 hours and driving back and forth from work every day, and have that just be like a very calming Zen sort of thing, as opposed to being like, why am I still in this car?
I used to love driving just to zone out and listen to music and sing at the top of my lungs. It was sort of a, you know, mobile like recording station, and it was so like therapeutic to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I also liked the God of Cake one. I was my parents, I was the oldest, and so I got all the, you know, organic, no sweets, like all of that stuff. But I remember this one time we went camping and had marshmallows. For somebody who doesn't get sweets that often, it's like, oh, you're going camping, have some marshmallows. And I remember eating so many that I made myself physically sick and puked all over the tent. It was awesome.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
I don't remember how old I was, very young, but like, I don't know, there's something about that like disregard for all consequences. Like you don't have the ability to think things through to the consequences, or like maybe the understanding to like put others' needs first. Like when she's hunting that cake, it doesn't matter that it didn't ever occur that it was her grandfather's like birthday and she shouldn't eat the cake. No, not even a thought. And as somebody that grew up around a lot of kids, like the oldest of all the cousins and stuff, very much how kids, there's no like moral understanding for a 4-year-old. They're just like, I want that cake.
Just pure id.
I've known kids that would just like, it would not be their birthday, but they would be looking at the cake and they'd be like 12 or 13 years old and they'd be like, I'm just gonna dunk my finger on in here. And I'm like, what are you doing? Where is your impulse control? Ah!
Yeah. I thought it was maybe an interesting, not foreshadowing, but like mirror piece to the later one. I think it was one of the last ones in here on identity.
Where she's talking about her true self.
Yeah, and the selfishness. I thought that was really interesting because it seemed to, I don't know, like the selfishness.
Her grown-up self would congratulate her for not going and eating the cake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and then she'd feel about herself for not eating the cake. But then she'd feel bad because she had to remind herself to not eat the cake and be considerate of people. Yeah.
Like the kid is her like true self. Situation. And then all adulthood is added is a layer of guilt and pressure to like not eat the cake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought the identity chapters were probably my favorite. I don't know.
I liked thoughts and feelings.
People.
Mm-hmm.
You liked on feelings?
Thoughts and feelings. Is all about like, that's the one all about expectations and like your version of how reality should work. And I'm like, oh, I feel so.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, this isn't fair because it's not what I define as fair.
Yeah, the like not being able to control the like universe, and so exerting control on things you kind of can. For death glaring garbage trucks that drive by.
Things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The like buildup of things that are out of your control that you just like, no, there's been too many of those things today. I have a paper cut. I don't have any milk. Like I stubbed my toe. No, none of this. This is not how today is supposed to be. The birds are loud. I'm going to stare at the birds and wish in the direction of the birds. Yeah. Mm.
I think we've all had that day where it's like one too many things has gone wrong and it's like I just should not have gotten out of bed. That's all there is to it. I should have stayed in bed today. The world clearly has it out for me right now.
One of those days where like you like hold it together and you hold it together until you like knock over a glass or like get stuck in traffic or something, and then you're just like crying and your friend or partner, coworker is like, oh, crazy lady.
Mm-hmm. I think the one that really spoke to me the most was the why I'll never be an adult.
Mm.
And then the little chart that she has. That one.
What is that one?
What page is it? That is that's part of the clean all the things.
219.
But the whole level of responsibility and then the system failure and then at points where they're successful. Like when I first read that, I was like, oh my God, it's me.
Oh yeah.
The internet obsession, late nights.
Yeah, the way she describes things like struggles with motivation, I think is just so incredibly relatable because even if you're not so similar to her as to be like, this is me all the time, I think all of us have at least had that moment where it's like, I know I need to do the thing and I really should do the thing, but I also am still sitting here in my sweatpants eating chips on the couch.
It's executive dysfunction.
And I am no closer to doing the thing than I was 2.5 hours ago when I first said to myself, I need to do the thing.
Yeah, there's something about it. I don't know if it's like the unflinching honesty or like the humor, but like the way she writes and draws just gets to the heart of some of those struggles in a way that I haven't seen a lot of other like writers or creators do, or maybe like do as succinctly or something, or as entertainingly. But yeah, no, it's done really well.
To me, it feels like it's got a lot to do with how open she is about like where she's at any given moment. Because that's a lot of us we will communicate where we're at, but there's like that little bit of filtering that you do before, like from brain to mouth. Like there's at least usually a little bit of filtering you do, especially if you're presenting yourself to the public. And like, she clearly is just like, she's like, nah, screw the filter. Let's just like, we're giving you the raw feed from brain to mouth direct tunnel. Like, let's go.
But also like at the same time, like narrating as she's watching herself do that. So she's not just like spewing at you. She's like, I'm gonna spew some stuff. I see me spewing stuff. Here's the thing. Yeah. It's like a very casual but intentional honesty.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that was the beginning of the whole movement of trying to make mental illness less of a stigma. And talking about, our needs and our fears and in a therapeutic manner. And it was just like the internet at that time was a lot of like group therapy. And it was really kind of wonderful. I think it's done wonders to get people more open about their feelings, not hiding things so much, because, hiding things could be really detrimental. My partner and I talk about everything. And something, sometimes we're brutally honest, but I try to be tactful and he tries to be tactful. And, sometimes we'll say things that are a little less than tactful, and it'll just be like, okay, I'm going to step back and sort of put myself in his shoes, and okay, I can see where you're coming from, and it's just, I don't know. I think it's great. I think everybody should, have access to therapy if they need it. And I think friends should be more candid with one another about their needs and sort of be comfortable with rejection and comfortable with, constructive criticism. So sometimes, but there's always that insecurity that sort of gets in there every once in a while and sort of dictates how you not talk to somebody or kind of like maybe hold back. And then you're like, did I do something? And they're like, no, I'm just living my life. So. Oh no. Uh-oh. Something happened. Hang on.
The video cut out.
I will be right there.
Okay. Sure thing.
Really wish I had read this.
It's magic.
I wish I had experienced it as a blog. I feel like it would have been even more.
Are we here?
Oh.
Sharon?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear everybody now.
Okay,
but
good.
Everybody was frozen, which means probably I was frozen and y'all were just carrying on.
Well, and we only heard the tail end of you being like, hello. So it's like, is Sharon good? Are we good? We're all good?
Yeah,
okay,
if you were
good.
frozen, it was only for a second.
Yeah, it cut off right as you were saying that, Lauren, you were saying something about how you wish you had read it.
Yeah, I wish I had read it as a blog. I feel like as like intimate and personal as the book is, reading it as a blog, which is very much more like author to consumer content would have been even more like personal, perhaps.
I have memories of reading it as a blog. I think in college, like when was this a blog? When were these early blog entries posted? Like I remember reading Clean All the Things, and then I remember recognizing the meme and knowing like, oh, I know what that's from. I know that that's from Hyperbole and a Half, which is that blog. And like, I feel like it was before me and Lauren really got to know each other. So like I was like
2009.
I think thereabouts.
It was around there.
Maybe even a little bit
It still
earlier.
exists. Let's see, blog archive. Yeah, 2009 it started.
Oh.
You can actually, the blog still exists. I posted a link in chat. You can actually go back and start from the beginning and sort of, follow along with her journey, because there's a lot of stuff in her blog that isn't included in the book that I think is also pertinent reading. So
there is
maybe some of it didn't fit with the either the theme of what she was trying to accomplish with the book, or maybe it just didn't flow well. But I mean, there's a lot of content that's not included that it's great to go back and revisit every once in a while.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff in there, whether it was off theme and that's why it didn't end up in the book, or if the editor was like, this is too randy, like we can't publish this. Because isn't there one where she starts talking about like duck penises or something and how wild that is to her?
Oh God, yeah.
Like there's stuff like that, which is just like, it's very NSFW. Oh,
come on now.
Tracy, we lost video again. But it's like, and you're back.
Okay.
But there's
having power issues.
Oh, that's no good.
If all else fails, I'll log in on my my laptop.
Got it.
Okay.
But yeah, like there's a lot of blog posts in there that are not in the book, and as I understand it, they're not in the second book either. So well worth checking the website out, not least of which you can get to read the rest of it for free, which is always nice. Real quick, jumping into chat, Lost Limey says, earliest memes I remember are all your base are belong to us, Badger Snack, and Mr. T 8. I think those of us who are familiar with that or can read chat, I won't say it out loud just in case. And I think all my base, I think, actually was from before Hamster Dance, if I recall correctly, but I didn't find it until much, much later when it was on video compilation sites. Which
I didn't know about that until like high school.
Yeah. It took me a while to find that one.
I didn't have the internet until like high school.
We got internet surprisingly early in my household, but we didn't use it for much other than like email to start with, because it was all dial up and it was all like, you have to pay for every minute you use it or whatever. And so it was like, well, we can't just have the kids on the internet downloading 3 megabyte videos for the next 2.5 hours. Like that's not going to work. A 52 kilobyte modem. Tree says second book is still funny and cheaper than therapy. Tree also says the one where she went to the dentist, I related so much to her and to her mom and to the judging people in the restaurant. So many perspectives.
Her mom. Yeah, what a struggle.
Poor woman.
Yeah.
That is one that my friends and I were still quoting to each other very recently, where it'd be like, you feel like garbage, but you still want to like get out of the house. And so you'd be like, Mom, can go to PARP. And it's basically like your way of communicating. I would like to get out of the house, but also this needs to be low key because I feel like garbage.
I say that for Zeke when we take him to the local dog parks. He's like, we're going to the park.
Go to
like, I don't understand what that means, but okay, let's go.
Go to park? Yes, let's. It'll be exciting.
Go circle.
There was apparently no interruptions in the stream, so that's some good news.
Oh, good.
Glocken says, "I is wild animal" is a line said by Simple Dog from a great blog post that didn't make the post.
Yeah, that one, oh God. When he gets loose, yeah.
I don't think I had read, I don't know if it wasn't in her blog posts originally, but before reading this book, I don't think I'd read the story where she and her sister and her mom get lost in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an amazing story because they're
creepy.
Their dog is just like, yay! I love being outdoors.
I like how sad the pine cone collection part is. It's just like, get the pine cones. Like the mom's just like trying to hold it together and they're like, is this enough? Is this right? And she's just like, no, more pine cones.
Let's all play the game called Yell for Help.
Oh my God.
I think I laughed the loudest because I had a similar experience, but I was with my partner at the time. She and I were into geocaching. Mm-hmm. And there was this one that was, it's basically where you hide something and then you put in the GPS coordinates to go find it. Just a quick rundown. So there was one that was at a local park that we hadn't been to yet. And somebody said, oh, it's just walk in, walk out. It's right off this trail. So we're like, okay, well, let's just do this before it gets dark. And it got dark, but it got dark really quickly. Like we started to see the light fade and then all of a sudden we couldn't see a thing. And then we couldn't find our way back to the car and it started raining. And we had no flashlight because we were like, oh, we'll just hop in and hop out. We don't really need a flashlight. And this was back in the days of like Nokia phones. It was terrible. And we ended up spending the night in the rain, laying on the ground, covered in bugs, bitten by mosquitoes and we didn't sleep a wink. And then I had this shirt and I kind of like stretched it out over the two of us. And then I had a bandana that I had like sort of covering our face to sort of, ameliorate the pounding of the raindrops on our faces. And we had half a bottle of Diet Coke between us. And when we got hungry, we would just take a tiny little sip, but it was hilarious. I mean, you can laugh about it now. At the time, like my partner was very upset. And I'm like, well, I had just kind of gotten into this Zen mode. Like we're in this situation. There's nothing we could do about it. We tried like every time the lightning struck, we would go a few feet, but then I ended up like falling down a culvert and like shoving my hands in the leaves and then climbing back up. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to walk anymore.
I think that's
I don't want to
fair
break
at
anything.
That point. I think that's fair.
But it was a lot of parallels to that story. So I laughed and I think I said that to my partner. I was like, oh my God, do you remember that time that we got lost in the woods?
Lost Limey.
Sorry, that was a long tangent.
No, that's fantastic. Lost Limey wanted to make sure that we noted that Solutions and Other Problems is the title of the second book to make sure it gets set on stream for anyone who might not be viewing this in
which you can order from Alpha Comics and Games, conveniently located at Willow Lawn in Richmond, Virginia.
I love that has become such a meme on the Discord because the first couple of times I did it mostly as a joke and then everybody else started doing it and now everyone just does it. Like,
we love them.
Does anybody know where we can find D&D books in the Richmond area? Oh, well, there's Alpha Comics and Games conveniently located in Willow Lawn in Richmond, Virginia. It makes me so happy. Glocken, regarding the getting lost in the woods story, says that was dark, lol.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the appropriate response to that comic. Ha ha ha, very dark.
I mean, they all made it out okay, which I think means that, like, as spooky as that scenario was, it makes for a great story, ultimately. Yeah. Kind of like Tracy's story about also getting lost in the woods. Like, you and your partner made it out okay, so it's all right for us now to be like, what a great story, as opposed to being like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you. I think that's
somewhere I have pictures of the aftermath where I'm just like covered in like wetness.
Oh my gosh.
And I still went home, took a shower, and went to work that day. So I was just like, hey, guess what happened to me last night?
I don't think I have that kind of strength. I think I would have called in. I would have been like, hey, I'm not making it in today. I've had a night. I'll tell you this story when I'm next in.
He was like, oh my God, we're camping and we have to sleep on the ground in tents. And I'm like, okay. I slept on the ground in the rain. I can accomplish anything.
Tree says she has an adventure in the second book too. Spoiler alert, she gets out okay. I would hope so. If she doesn't make it out okay in the story in her second book, then I don't know who's writing the book, and it starts to raise ghost questions.
The one about Richard, I think that one's on her blog. I think she posted it as sort of a teaser for the second book when it was released. But that one is just hilarious. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
I'm going to add the next book to my like to be read list, ever growing, of course.
It's a quick read, but it's very like, I had to stop at one point just because it got really I'll say you need tissues, but it's, you kind of relate to, or at least empathize with what's going on in her life, and if you have siblings, very much so. So I was the baby of my family, and I was a human terror, so her story about like the little alligator suit, that was me in my Wonder Woman bathing suit when I was 3, and I would just tear through the neighborhood and like ride bikes with the neighborhood boys in the sewer ditches, and we were just hellions. And it's honestly like how I didn't get some foreign disease or just tearing up through mud puddles is beyond me. I'm immune to everything.
Lost Limey says, well, ghostwriters are a thing.
That's a good pun.
It's it's a fair point. All right. I know we could probably discuss the book for significantly longer, but I, for one, have not eaten dinner yet. So I want to keep things rolling. Let's take a minute to talk about this coming month's book, which I was informed. I will take the blame for this. I usually am the one who reaches out to Alex and says, hey, this is what the next month's book is going to be. Is that something you can order? And if it is, can you communicate that to chat and see if people want to order it? I didn't do that this month because there's been a lot going on. There's been some like stuff we've been doing for Goblins and Growlers that's been a little bit more like managerially complicated because it's tax season, which, by the way, none of us know how to do taxes real well. So that's been interesting. But long story short, I forgot to do it. That's on me. I did communicate with Alex before the stream. And the good news is she can get the Left Hand of Darkness. So if you would like to order the Left Hand of Darkness from Alpha Comics and Games, conveniently located in Willow Lawn, Richmond, Virginia, you can tag Alex in the book club channel and say, yes, hello, I would like to order this book, please. So let's take a minute and talk about The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Leguin. I believe, Lauren, that was your suggestion as a classic from our previous voting session.
Yeah. I don't know if I already told the story of me and the book. I think it was just when
you told it pre-stream. So if you want to tell that again, I would be thrilled to have everybody hear it.
So I have 2 old beat up copies of The Left Hand of Darkness. And how I got 2 copies was I went to my favorite used bookstore and I was browsing around the sci-fi and fantasy section, and I was like, oh, cool, Left Hand of Darkness. I want to read that. And I bought it, and I took it home, and I put it on my shelf, and I was like, I'm going to read that. And then a year passed, and then I was at my favorite used bookstore, and I was looking through the shelves, and I saw Left Hand of Darkness, and I was like, oh, I've always wanted to read that book. Never gotten around to it. Let me buy it. And I go home to put it on my shelf. There's already a copy staring at me judgmentally. So now I have 2 copies that I've had for like 3-4 years that I've never read. So I'm really looking forward to changing that.
Now you have a shareable copy.
Yeah. Hi.
I think any of us that frequent used bookstores especially have had this experience. I can relate to you so hard right now. It's so easy to be like, oh, I've always wanted to read this and I know I haven't yet. And then you get home and you're like, oh, right, my to read shelf already has it. No.
I've done that with shoes. I bought the same pair of loafers twice on accident.
Oh.
That's like not a bad choice though, because you can just put some in the closet and be like, as soon as these get worn out, I have brand new ones.
You have an heir and a spare.
But I'm excited to read it. It should be fun.
I'm also excited. Let's see. Tree says, I read The Left Hand of Darkness in like the 80s, and it was formative in how I have thought about gender identity. Marion says, yeah, replacement loafers are just practical and avoiding inflation. I thought you wanted shoes to inflate. I thought that was the cool thing to do. Is that too old school or? Lost Limey says, also, I think that's how Good Omens spreads its influence in mysterious bookstores that aren't there the next week.
Yeah.
I was gifted a copy of Good Omens, and I have this thing where if I'm really enjoying a book, I will put it down because I don't want the good feeling I'm having to end. So I think it took me 2 years to read it, because I would pick it up and like, God, I love it so much. I don't want it to end. Let me put it away for a little while.
My copy of Good Omens is in absolute tatters. I worked as a camp counselor at a Boy Scout camp one year, and I brought like a little stack of books with me. And that was one of the books I brought. And it got passed around like all the camp counselors and survived like a summer in a tent. And like the covers are off, like it's all destroyed, but like lovingly so.
That's a good way to wear a book out, honestly.
Yeah.
And then you can make art out of the pages afterwards, so it can have a new life.
So what do we know about The Left Hand of Darkness other than it's by Ursula Le Guin, who is a very prolific science fiction writer whom I have somehow never read any of her books, and I don't know why, but here we are.
Do you want me to look up the summary, or do you want me to pull a semi-accurate summary from my memory?
That sounds entertaining.
I think the semi-accurate summary sounds more honest to this show at large.
Okay. So I believe it is about a human ambassador to a alien planet who's, I think, tasked with going there and setting up some kind of treaty or like learning about their culture, and the way the aliens interact or experience gender is very fluid and different, and the human ambassador has a really hard time wrapping his brain around it. And so I think it's a lot about sort of a little bit of space politics, but also mostly like a cultural examination of gender seen through like the lens of sci-fi. Perhaps a little bit like Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, where it focused a lot more on the alien culture, and Sussex is like all of the poly and queer and touchiness of like her alien culture to sort of shine a light on like human ideas of monogamy and the difference between romance and platonic. It'll be like that, but with gender.
If I'm recalling correctly, because I had to pull up all the synopses. When we do voting, I've started doing a thing where I pull up all the Goodreads pages for whatever books have been nominated, so that people who know nothing about the book can just click a link and get like the synopsis and maybe reviews. I recall what you just described as being like pinpoint accurate for the synopsis of the book. So like super well done.
Thank you.
I was kind of hoping that it would not sound familiar at all, and you'd be like, it's all about like this and that and this, and I'm like, what? I don't think that's quite right. And then we'd find out you were talking about like the right hand of darkness. No, you had to be really good at remembering things. So props to you. You've won this round, Lauren.
Only for things that can't help me in real life. So.
Oh man, hard same. Real quick, Tree says it is a standalone book, but is set in the same universe as some of her other books. Lost Slimy says it also coined the term Ansible, a common sci-fi term for faster than light communication devices. It's also
so fun.
It's also an anagram, which I did not know at all. What is it an anagram for?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Tree says, I didn't know that either. Very cool. And then wrote out right hand of darkness, but as in like WRITE. Right hand of darkness. Well done.
Good.
Well done,
Good.
Tree. Well done. So what do we have for nominations for next month?
All right, I'm going to grab my nomination.
Okay. I'm going to open up a notepad so that I don't forget to open up a notepad, because that's a thing that happens way too often. I can actually start this month. I was given a nomination recommendation by a friend. There is a series of books by Sarah J. Maas called The Throne of Glass. And the first book in the series, The Assassin's Blade, I have been told is super amazing and absolutely must be checked out. And so I am going to throw that down. I'm going to put it in the hat as my recommendation for this month.
That's a young adult, right?
It's technically young adult, but my understanding is that it's young adult for like 20 somethings, not young adult for like 13, 14.
Yeah. I've read a couple of Sarah J. Maas's other books, and they're like young adult, but they're like more adult young adult than young adult.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. So based on everything I heard, I was like, this sounds like a book series I need to be reading. So I'm in book club. I may as well make it part of book club. Lost Slimy did finally give us Ansible is an anagram of lesbian, which Leguin said was intentional. So
I wonder how the intentional anagram correlates with the meaning that was ascribed to it.
You know, I don't know. I don't know. I'm wondering if Lost Slimy knows. What?
My brain just sort of put it together in this weird way.
Share with the class. If you're comfortable and it's PG-13ish.
See, I don't know. It could be, but I'll save it.
I mean, we could roll those dice. We've read a couple of books.
It had to do with faster than light travel and lickety split.
Ah. I can put one and one together there.
Sorry.
No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I just heard Craig laugh from the other room. Damn, I never make him laugh. I'm sorry I missed that.
Well done. Well done.
Well, no, I do make him laugh.
Who wants to go next? Lauren's looking very ready.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? No. It looked
I
like
don't have to go next.
I thought
I
you were holding a book, so that's why I was like, you're looking very ready.
I have two that I'm debating between.
So
okay. I figured Left Hand of Darkness might be a little like heavy, or it's like older sci-fi. It might be like a lot. So I chose two YA fantasies. I'll just introduce one. This, A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab.
I've heard
and
of this.
I read this a couple years ago. And it's about this several parallel Londons, some mundane, some magical, some more like darkly magical. Anyway, and a guy who has the unique ability to travel between the Londons, and he gets robbed by this woman who's a thief, and she winds up in the possession of like some magical objects, and so they kind of strike up an unlikely alliance and have to solve some mysteries across several different parallel Londons, and it's fun. I would classify it maybe as portal fantasy, which is a fun term that I learned somewhat recently. So that's my suggestion.
I'm excited.
That sounds fascinating.
I've put it on the list.
I like it.
I'm about it. Tracy, do you have a nomination for us this month?
Oh gosh, I did not come with a nomination. I didn't know. I didn't get the syllabus. No. Oh gosh, what can I think of that I really love?
If you want a minute, we can give you a minute.
So I think her name is Elizabeth Forsyth. I dropped my phone. A Woman of Independent Means, and it's sort of like a series of letters that this woman has written, and it's basically all one-sided communication, but you can sort of like piece together her life from the beginning, and it's just that from the time. I'm sorry, I'm talking like 5 different directions at once. She starts off like, and this is way back in the day before like women were allowed agency, and she just, it's almost like a blog read, but it's very slice of life. It's very like epistolary, and it's fascinating to watch her life evolve from the time that she's a child writing in her diary to an older woman. So yeah, I think but I can't remember. I think it's Elizabeth Forsyth something. I think she's got a second name or a hyphenated name. Somebody will have to Google it for me. Craig, please.
We can look it up if
I
that's
dropped
what
my
it
phone,
takes.
so I'm just like,
Worst case scenario, if I look up A Woman of Independent Means and I can't figure out what book I'm looking for, I will reach out to you and make sure we've got the right book. Absolute worst case.
I remember reading it, and I was I think at the time it was when I was interested in all the blogs, and I'd read it around that time, and it was sort of like a blog from like, or late 1800s to, it's sort of, I think, Edwardian or Victorian.
That sounds super cool.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Sharon, do you have a nomination for us this month?
No, I read a really good book, and it's great, but it's not really a book club recommendation book, unfortunately. But it's really. Anybody wants any memoirs, message me on Discord. I'll give you a good recommendation.
I learned something that I had not known previously, which is that Robin Hobb, the author behind Assassin's Apprentice, and that the Farseer trilogy, which was a very formative book series for me growing up, is a woman. I had not known that at all, because Robin is a very there's no gender attached to it. So I guess I hadn't really made any assumptions, but she wrote from the perspective of a teenage boy so well that I was like, Robin is clearly a person who has lived the life of a teenage boy, and Robin's a woman, and I'm like, this is so cool. What? So that was just a little moment that I had with myself some days ago, where I was just scrolling through and they were like, oh, Robin Hobb, the award-winning author of these things. And there's this picture of this woman kind of like leaning in a chair. And I'm like, that's Robin Hobb? What?
It's so interesting to put like faces to authors.
Right?
Yeah.
Lost Limey has nominated a book that also has parallel Londons, which is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman.
Oh gosh,
I read that one. It's good.
And then Tree has nominated Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which would be a very good one. I haven't read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in a super long time. I have friends, though, who revisit it like every year. What were you going to say, Lauren?
It's been a while since I've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as well.
That'd be a really good one. All right, we have room for one more book nomination. Lauren, do you want to throw your second potential on the table, or are you feeling like save it, or like where are you at on that?
Yeah, I'll throw it in.
All right.
I don't mind leaving another one to the chat too. But if we decide to leave it to the chat, then all you've had is just I talked about a book.
That's true.
It's this gorgeous book.
Ooh.
The 10,000 Doors of January. It's another Portal fantasy. I think it was nominated for the Hugo last year, the year before. But it's another young adult, about this young woman who is growing up in the house of this like eccentric millionaire. I think it's in like, oh gosh, when is it set? Maybe the 60s or something, 70s. Anyway, she's growing up in the house of this eccentric millionaire, and she finds a book in his collection, and it sparks this whole adventure, and there's lots of travel through parallel worlds, and she meets different people along the way, and sort of uncovers the backstory of her parents' sort of star-crossed love affair, and it's cute and fun and very like beautifully written. So this one is like a little bit more like actiony and gritty, and like London is kind of like a dirty city, and there's like magic and battle and stuff. And this one is a little bit more poetic and about like the love of stories and how they like bring us together and stuff like that. So
nice.
Oh, that sounds
They both
fantastic.
sound nice.
I haven't seen anyone in chat jump in and be like, no, we shouldn't read that. We should read this instead. So I think we're good to commit that one. Who's the author on the 10,000 Doors to January? Of January, apologies.
Alex E. Harrow. Alix.
Ooh.
Alix? Maybe?
I was showing everybody else before stream started, but speaking of Harrow, I'm this far into Harrow the Ninth. So this is the remaining book, and things are weird, you guys. Things are weird.
Lord Prime, very strange dude.
Very strange, John. Very strange dude. I just love how the characters interact. Like, it's so fantastic in like how strange things are, but also so relatable in like, I don't know, I feel like I've had all those friends before.
I just really loved how sad and grumpy and uncooperative, like just deeply uncooperative Harrow is in that book. It's very endearing.
Harrow spends the whole book being just such a cranky piece of person. Like, so cranky about everything.
Everything.
Oh my God. Lost Slimy says it'll make sense in another 150 pages or so.
Yeah.
Which Tree says that is her philosophy of life. Okay, so we've got our book list. You know what I might do is I might go and schedule this post now, because then I can't forget it.
Right.
Nice.
It won't be.
Were you able to find the one that I mentioned?
I haven't looked just yet. But let me see. Talking about a woman of independent means. Elizabeth Forsyth Haley.
Yes.
Yeah, that will work great. Elizabeth Forsyth Haley.
I just like those kind of like, yeah, it's very strong. I like the epistolary type book, like 84 Charing Cross Road, with the friendship between this woman in New York, Elizabeth Hamp, and her friend who ran a London bookstore. So stuff like that, just sort of the connections of other people's friendships. I used to love doing pen pals a lot.
I'm about it. I'm here for it. I think that's everything we've got. So, Tracy, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. What am I even working on right now? I have a bare bones Twitch that I still haven't figured out the audio for. So
didn't you recently post in self-promotion that you're making jewelry?
Oh yeah. I have a little Etsy store. It's got, I've got earrings and stuff. So when I move to make something, I'll make it and then I'll take a picture and I'll post it up. And if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, then I just pay the 20 cents to renew the listing. Half of them, though, I make them and they're so gorgeous. I'm like, oh, I should really keep this, but I have to put it out in the world.
I mean, if it ends up.
Oh, but it used to be named Fold Facey. I don't know if I changed my store name yet back to Faux Facey, but if you look that up, you can find it. Because originally it was going to be origami, and then I realized that might be cultural appropriation for me to make, thick origami items and then send them out. So I would just sort of stick to something that was, more stylized for my own, lack of culture.
I think
some of the stuff I do, like, Celtic chainmail, that kind of stuff.
I think you've demonstrated lots of culture tonight.
Oh, thank
you. Sharon, is there anything you'd like to plug tonight?
Nothing in particular, but I am excited for some upcoming book projects from Goblins and Growlers. Once we all get our act together and get everything into Brandon, that'll be fine. So, yeah.
I can't wait to get vaccinated and we can have an in-person game.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to be vaccinated.
I miss people so much.
Lauren, I have a suspicion I know at least one thing that you'd like to plug.
It's the same thing every time. I have an Instagram where I write about books, book recommendations, what I'm reading, all of that. So you can follow me at Feminist Reading List, where I read and talk about any of the books that I like. So sci-fi, fantasy, romance, those are my top genres. But I've been reading a lot of manga lately and been really, really enjoying it. So if you enjoy manga, yeah, that's what I got.
Very stories.
I was just about to ask if the manga trend had stuck around, because I know you'd mentioned it last month as well, where you were like, I've recently started reading some manga. I don't know if people who generally read my Instagram are going to be thrilled about that, but you know what? That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I'm still hard on the manga train. Still, nobody cares, but I care, and I'm having a great time, so that's fine.
I'm
Yeah, as
being
long as you're enjoying
educated.
yourself, do your thing.
Yeah, I'm reading Demon Slayer right now, which is what this sweater and these earrings are from. So, who doesn't love dressing up like their favorite book series?
Absolutely. It's subtle enough that I hadn't picked it up, even though I am a Demon Slayer fan. I wonder if being in person, I might have been like, wait a minute. But it's well done. Well done.
The earrings are very fun. They like move around a lot.
What are they made from? I was admiring them.
They're just plastic.
It's really
They're what the main character, his earrings.
Oh, cool.
And Gyo's Haori like jacket, but it's like a cardigan. So just trying to look like an anime boy, one step at a time.
Fantastic. For my plug, I'm gonna go with my usual. I'm gonna say, if you're not already in the Discord, come join us in the Discord. I am just now realizing that the Discord invite has been behind everything else this entire time for the whole stream. You can go to goblinsandgrowlers.com, and under community, there is the join the Discord button, which will take you straight to joining the Discord. No additional button presses required. You can also find us just by Googling Goblins and Growlers Discord is a pretty quick way. Or let us know, and we will shoot you an invite. Actually, in fact, I will shoot an invite into chat right now for guest starring Alon's hand. There.
Hello, Alon.
So if you're not already in the Discord, join us, because we have a book club channel where we talk about the book club books, usually while we're reading them, which is fantastic fun. And we will have voting up here soon in the Goblins and Growlers Facebook, as well as on the book club channel. So if you're not a Facebook user, like some of us aren't, you can still get your vote counted, because we don't limit you to just the one. And check out our podcast, Quid Pro Roll. It's a really awesome exploration of D&D by a cast made entirely of dungeon masters, and not a one of us is completely compliant with how adventures should be run. So there's plenty of chaos, lots of ridiculous nerd jokes, and some of the best sound production I could have ever hoped for to get out of a podcast. So that's Quid Pro Roll. It's available on pretty much everything. If you can't find it, let us know, and we'll try to get it put there as well. I think that's
Sound Guy does
got.
These brilliant subtleties with the background. I'm having a brain fart with the background information, and it's just like, if somebody's talking, so they're making a list, you'll hear like scribbling or typing and stuff like that. And I love little stuff like that. It's just,
he makes
the tiniest little thing, but it's brilliant.
He makes the world more immersive.
Yes. And I think that's what I like about Allie Broch's, to take it back to there, is why I like her drawing so much. Like, it's simple, but it's very effective. And then there's subtle nuances with the expressions that just convey so much. Like when she draws her eyes welled up with tears, that's always adorable. I used to use that a lot. But yeah, thank you for having me. And for indulging me. I know it wasn't a sci-fi book, but I was very excited that she came out with her second book. But the second book's kind of heavy, and the first book is more of a fun, relatable read. So I thought that would be, and then, January, everybody's like decompressing from the holidays, that I was like, this will be something simple and fun that'll sort of get people back into the groove of reading more books.
I think it fit the
Definitely.
headspace everyone was in at that time, which is how it won so many votes so quickly. It was
Yeah.
just like, you know what? I could use a book that's like kind of easy to read and very emotional and evocative. Like, yeah, let's do this.
And if Allie Broche happens to be watching, like, thank you so much for for sharing your life with the entire internet, and you're much beloved by so many people. So I hope that reaches her in some way. And if it doesn't, that's cool too.
Just putting it out there.
Just
putting it out there. Thank you so much for joining us, Tracy. We'll be figuring out who our guest will be for next month's book as soon as we figure out who is most interested in talking about next month's book, because that's usually how I pick our guest hosts, is who is really active in chat, because I know they're going to have a lot to say on book club. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We will see you. Oh my gosh, I didn't think to look at the calendar, you guys. We should look at the calendar and figure out what day we're seeing each other next. It's the 23rd now. And in March, it looks like the Tuesday, we could do the 23rd again. I think that works out
sounds
pretty
right.
well.
It is carbon copy complete clone of the 2 months are actually exactly the same, which is weird.
Heck
Yeah.
yes, let's do
Sounds
it.
good.
23rd. Okay. So
because when February is only 28 days, so it's like 4 exact weeks. So March is just February part 2.
Hopefully March is February part 2 this year, as opposed to every other month being March part whatever, like last year was.
Oh my God, yeah.
So we will see everyone on March the 23rd at 7 p.m. The same book club place, same book club time. And in the meantime, come hang out in the Discord chat and talk to us about the books you're reading, whether or not they're The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Leguin. Thank you so much for coming out, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Bye.